People have been arguing for years on what makes a person the way they are. It's a never-ending conflict, where each side claims to be right. But we all have characteristics that we like and dislike. These characteristics define what we are. Having stated that, here are 10 things that scare an INFJ the most. First, humanity's potential for evil. For INFJs, the potential for evil is something that constantly looms in the background, waiting to strike. INFJs are often quick to see the flaws in people and systems, and they can be very cynical about humanity's ability to progress. This view of humanity is not unfounded. Throughout history, humans have been responsible for some of the most heinous crimes imaginable. However, INFJs believe that there is still potential for good in people and systems, if we are willing to look for it. They are hopeful creatures by nature, and they believe that if we put our minds to it, we can make a significant impact on the world. Second, death or loss of children. There is no one answer to this question, as it could be different for each INFJ individual. However, some common things that might scare INFJs include death or loss of children. For many INFJs, these losses may feel like a personal betrayal, as they place a great deal of trust and faith in their children. Additionally, INFJs may feel like they are unable to protect their children from danger and often worry about what could happen if something bad happened to them. In general, anything that can cause fear or panic in an INFJ may be something that scares them greatly. Third, phone calls. There is something distinctly unnerving about receiving a phone call in the middle of the night. It can be jarring enough to make you jump, no matter how calm you may seem during other times of the day. For INFJs, this feeling is amplified tenfold because of their unique Myers-Briggs type. Phone calls in general are a potential source of anxiety for INFJs because they can symbolize a lack of trust or communication. They also tend to feel unprepared and vulnerable when talking on the phone, which can lead to feelings of insecurity or fear. Fourth, crowds. There is something about crowds that intimidates INFJs. They may feel like they are not in control, or like they are being watched. This is compounded by the fact that INFJs often have a deep-seated need for privacy and can be shy around people they don't know well. Fifth, ghosts. The INFJ personality type is often afraid of ghosts, as they may represent a remnant of the person's past that they cannot control or understand. They may also be afraid that ghosts will haunt them in the future, or that they will become one themselves. For some INFJs, this fear stems from a traumatic experience in their past where they saw or interacted with a ghost. For others, it is simply an innate fear that is difficult to shake. Regardless of the source, INFJs know that ghosts are something to be afraid of and work to stay vigilant against them. 6. Insanity. There is something about insanity that scares INFJs. The idea of going beyond what is rational or sane really freaks us out. We often question our own sanity and wonder if we are truly capable of doing things that seem completely irrational or dangerous. This can be especially true when we feel like others are pushing us to do things that we know are not right for us. It can be a scary feeling to know that you are not in control and someone else is driving the bus. 7th, abandonment. Some common things that INFJs might fear include abandonment by others, feeling alone and unsupported, and feeling like they are not good enough. INFJs are often very sensitive to the emotions of others, so any form of abandonment can be incredibly painful. They may also feel like they can't cope or that they are a burden to those around them. In extreme cases, an INFJ may even develop clinical depression as a result of this type of trauma. 8th, the supernatural. The supernatural is one of the most popular genres of television. It typically features supernatural creatures such as vampires, werewolves, and ghosts. These creatures can often scare INFJ the most because they operate outside of our everyday reality. They fascinate us with their mysteriousness and the ways in which they defy categorization. For INFJs, this fascination can often be coupled with the fear that these creatures could actually exist in reality. This fear can create a sense of vulnerability for INFJs, who may feel like they don't understand or control their own world. 9th, their own imagination. The INFJ personality type is known for their imagination and creativity. For some INFJs, the fear of their own imagination may be the biggest fear they have. This can be a fear of losing control or not being able to stop thinking about a particular idea. It can also be a fear of not being able to predict the consequences of what they are thinking. 10th, darkness. The INFJ personality type is often described as being introspective and reflective, so it might not come as a surprise that the scariest thing for them is darkness. This might be because for INFJs, darkness symbolizes potential loss of control, isolation, and vulnerability. In fact, according to some studies, INFJs are more likely to experience anxiety and depression in dark or lonely environments. So if you're trying to scare an INFJ, make sure they're in a well-lit room,